What are your thoughts on me as a mortgage broker now that you had to work with me, Susie? Be honest.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on me?
Well, I'm recording with you here,
I
so I
know.
obviously think
I know.
very highly of you. Listen,
Good.
that's a loaded question. We're friends. There's a different story. We've known each other for a long time,
Yeah,
but you support me.
that's true.
You
And
do.
how can you say no to somebody so lovable and cute?
Oh,
Ding.
ding. Jesus. So
Welcome to Dealing with the Tea. We have my co-host here, Amanda. Yeah, we
they're
got some
lovely.
amazing new mugs. And then we also have a special guest here, Susie from HomeEquity Bank.
Yes.
Now, we'll obviously explain what HomeEquity Bank is and what they kind of do and what Susie kind of provides to the mortgage broker industry itself.
Yes.
Welcome, Susie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you here. I've known you for quite some time now.
Yes.
We've had a privilege of working alongside one another, dealing with reverse mortgages.
Yes.
So, like, before we kind of start, why don't we talk about who is HomeEquity Bank?
Well, HomeEquity Bank, that's a great question. HomeEquity Bank has been in business for almost 40 years. All they do solely, this is all we do, is reverse mortgages. We have been acquired a few years ago by the Ontario Teachers' Pension. And we take pride in helping Canadians over the age of 55, the young age of 55,
Yes.
to better their life and to make sure that, they keep their home. They enhance their retirement portfolio. They do what's best for them and what's suited for them.
Mm.
I love that very much.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you having us here today.
Thank you.
We're really excited. You're the only people we deal with when we do reverse mortgages. So you
Yeah,
should
I
feel
love to
honored.
hear that.
Well,
Best
I don't
product.
think we want to necessarily say that. There are some other competitors out here.
But
let's play a fair game.
Yes, there's enough
But
business
you are
for all
one
of
our
us.
top reverse mortgage providers that we do like to deal with.
Thank
and
you.
one
I
of the
appreciate
strong
that.
supporters in the industry.
Thank you.
so tell us why HomeEquity Bank is different from all the other lenders when it comes to that.
This is all we do. This is all we know is reverse mortgages. We don't do anything else. We don't have different arms of businesses. So we take pride in understanding that all we do is reverse mortgages for clients. And all we want to do is to put clients in a better situation. That's all
awesome.
we do. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your day in the life looks like here at the bank?
What my day in a life, it's extremely busy. So I have to hustle to make sure that I do what's right to help clients out and to help my client brokers, to help them understand that, listen, this is not a product that's for everyone. We totally understand that, but it's providing different options to clients and to help them understand that there are different options. Again, it's just understanding exactly that there's options for clients.
If I can stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned earlier hustle,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I've been in your type of role in the past when I worked on the corporate side. And I think sometimes as business development managers, we also forget we're kind of like also entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Right? You are running a book of business. You are going out there, gaining more business to get into fund with that institution. Now, the type of product that obviously Susie's talking about, it is niche in the market. There's only, 4 providers that offer these reverse mortgages. But with Susie, that's all she deals with. Some of these other institutions, they are dealing with other types of mortgage products. It's not just reverse mortgages. So that's something to keep in mind.
Correct.
But now that we talked a little bit about your life, obviously the hustle, the grind, you've been doing this for quite some time. You've been in industry, you're a veteran in this industry. You don't just know reverse mortgages. We know that, right?
We know
You do look 21.
Thanks.
We're both
this
21.
is why I like you. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think the audience probably wants to know, what exactly is a reverse mortgage? Can you kind of guide who would want this and why they're going into this type of product? But also, we'll talk later through the episode. I do want to talk about some of the misconceptions and the myths.
Absolutely.
Because there is a stigma behind it.
There is, yes. So reverse mortgage, basically, we look at the client's age. They must be 55. We look at where the property is located, because let's not kid ourselves, right? If you have a property in a city center, Are you going to get more for that than you would in somewhere that you have 50, 60, 70 acres? Absolutely. Just because of the marketability of the property. So we look at the property, we look at where it's located, we look at the client's age, we put it in a calculator, boom, and that calculator identifies exactly what the client qualifies for. In saying that, there's different types of clients. There's clients who need it. So there's a need and a want. So there's clients that do need it, and basically this is their only option. There's clients who may want to just live their life to the best of their ability and be able to pull out the equity of their home without feeling the stress of having to make payments. The difference with this product is, unlike myself, that if I don't make my mortgage payments monthly, I'm in trouble, right? They're coming, knocking on my door. Client has full autonomy of how they want to run their business and want to basically, align their mortgage. So they have the option of making interest payments monthly. They have an option of making partial interest payments monthly. They have an option of putting 10% towards the principal and the interest on an annual basis upon anniversary date. But it's their option. It's not us dictating to them how much they need to pay monthly. They choose.
That's really great. You're giving the client autonomy to deal with their lending the way they want to and what's comfortable for their lifestyle.
Correct.
Do you often find yourself talking about reverse mortgages and succession planning too with your clients?
Always. Yeah. There's at the end of the day, it's what makes sense for the client. So there are clients who think this is not for them. There are clients who want to utilize this because of tax implications as well. Remember, this is a tax-free component.
That is so key.
Yes.
Tax-free.
Tax-free,
okay?
yes.
This also, just to touch base on that a little bit, this refrains clients from having to actually go into their investments and divesting that and being taxed on it.
Correct.
So if you have all this equity, why are you not using it, right? And this is also not something that just benefits those that are 55 plus, but we'll talk about generational wealth.
Yes.
Obviously, children, grandkids.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah. I always deal with people who say, I don't have those kind of clients. I don't deal with clients who need reverse. Well, you deal with first-time home buyers. How about helping or being able to get that, that grandson or that son into a home earlier, get into the market earlier while they're starting to invest in their own equity. Yours is also continuing to build, right? It doesn't depreciate. Well, let's hope not, right? Market is a little volatile today, but at the end of the day, we're banking on the fact that, homes are still going to continue to appreciate. Equity is not depleting at all, all of it. So we're understanding and trying to make sure that clients understand that even though you're utilizing this, your equity continues to build.
Yeah.
That's also a major misconception as well with the reverse mortgage space and how people understand what that means. You don't have to take out the full amount of equity in the home as your reverse mortgage, right? So
correct.
Want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. So let's say that a client qualifies for $500,000, right? They have an existing $250,000 mortgage. They decide, you know what? I'd like to pay off my mortgage. I don't want to have any mortgage payments any longer. However, I don't want to utilize all those funds. Well, we can park it, kind of like a line of credit for the client. Full transparency, because of the market that we're in, we have to make sure if the client comes back to us in a few years, we may require an appraisal to make sure that the value is still there in order for us to be able to provide the additional funds. But they're not paying interest on those funds until they actually utilize the funds.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation for the client. They have that option. They can decide to take $250,000 and say, okay, give me $100,000 into my bank account. This is what I want to do. We can do that as well. We basically customize it into what makes sense for the client's life and their lifestyle.
That's very important. I think that's a great selling point, especially for something that's not as traditional. That's a regular mortgage or a HELOC or a flex line.
Absolutely.
100%. I think that the key word here is cash flow.
You got it.
Yeah.
Creating cash flow for those borrowers
that
need this type of product. And just to be clear for anybody watching, this product is, yes, restricted to those that are 55 plus. but also at a 55% loan to value of whatever that appraised value would be.
Yeah.
So obviously there's going to still be a lot of equity in there, but we talked about appreciation. Even if the market was to take about a bit of a downturn, at least there's still some equity that's in the property.
Yeah.
Now, keeping in mind, in Canada, we know that properties typically appreciate.
Typically, yeah.
You know, but I do want to cross over to about interest rates, because interest rates on these reverse mortgages are quite high. I want to know the why behind that.
Okay.
And what it would look like if a client was to break this in situations if they sold the property or they became deceased.
Okay. So I knew you were going to ask me that on the interest rates. So I'm gonna actually dispute the fact that you just said that interest rates are quite higher. So the average interest rate right now for just a regular, what are you looking at? 4.5?
Are we talking B lenders or A lenders? Let's say B lenders.
Well, even B lenders, what, 6-7%?
Let's say about 5.5.
Okay, so right now a 5-year term with us is 6.5, 660. So we're not that far off. Yeah, we're not that different. However, that being said, clients are also not making those payments monthly, right? They're not required. So it's also the flexibility, right? But they have options, right? For the clients who say, I don't want all those interest payments, then guess what? Make interest payments monthly if you'd like. If that's not for you, then what can you part with? $500, $1,000 monthly? Then set something up that you can actually make those $1,000 payments monthly. So you don't have the, to some people may be a shock at the end of all that interest being accumulated. But it's the freedom, and we're fully transparent, and we let the client know upfront, this is how it works, right? Just unlike the regular institution, your interest does accumulate, but it's up to you and how you want to deal with that.
Yeah, and I think even with borrowers, they're also getting independent legal advice, right?
Always, yes.
That is a must. Some of the questions that, I think something that's unique with HomeEquity Bank that I'm aware of is that even though, you guys go up to 55%, if a client really needs a little bit more extra cash flow and to increase that loan to value, maybe 60, 65, and they have to get a second mortgage behind it, that is something you guys will consider on an exception basis,
yes,
right?
Yes, we are the only institution. We are.
That's something that is so niche, I think, with HomeEquity Bank. I do want to move it over a little bit to talking about the young ones. We have generations of Gen Z. We have millennials like myself. Well, I consider myself, I act like a Gen Z, but real millennials, same with the meta, right? I think, let's talk about that. How does somebody approach, their mom or their dad or grandparents, and that they probably know that they're either mortgage free or they have a lot of access to equity in that property? How do you approach your loved one about, how can you help me with down payment? Let's say grandma doesn't want to divest all her investments. She just want to be taxed on it. What would you say to somebody of our age?
Well, it's understanding that a lot of times there's people like, I'm going to say your age, that would go to, a parent and say, hey, I want to get into the market sooner. However, I don't have enough funds in order to get into the market. Is there any way that you could help me out? A lot of parents, nothing more rewarding than to be able to help your kids get into the market sooner. And I hear from so many parents that say, you know what, I tried to go into a regular institution and I didn't qualify.
Makes sense.
OAS, CPP, yes.
Yeah.
OAS and
Unless they're
CPP.
high net worth, that's a bit different. But not everybody holds millions of dollars in their investments.
Absolutely. Yeah. And being able to say to them, listen, I understand that at the end, when it's time for a beneficiary, I will not receive maybe as much as everyone else. However, they're helping that child get into the market sooner and helping them build their equity a lot sooner than they would 10 or 12, 20 years after that. And understanding that the qualifications are completely different, right?
So can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Just really high level.
Yeah.
How do you qualify for a reverse mortgage?
So
apart from being 55.
Yeah, the young age of 55.
The young ripe age of 55.
Let's get that. So it's what we look at is the client's age, right? Initially, right? They're 55. We look at, do they have any income, CPP or OAS? Can they maintain their property taxes? And can they maintain their home insurance? Because realistically, that's all we really have is that home.
Yeah.
Not what we really have, the security is what we really have, because the home always belongs to the client. Title always belongs to the client.
So are you guys are registering on the appraised value on title, or are you guys registering, how are you guys registering this on title?
We register the mortgage amount and sometimes a little more.
Got it.
It depends on each situation is different.
Right. That's
Yeah.
an estimate based on the appreciation over what, 5,
Correct.
10 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
Correct.
Is it always more, even if they're only taking, like, let's say, a third of the value of the home, or?
It depends on what's left in order for the client to utilize
Makes
as well
sense.
for subsequent advances, right?
It makes sense.
So just like I said, every deal is customized on its own and what makes sense for the client and that mortgage itself.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I do want to go back to a little bit of the question about the misconceptions or the stigma behind reverse mortgages, because there's been a lot of bad news, juju and stuff that people say. Obviously, the media plays a huge part in this, which is really annoying. I think it's just in general in the industry, versus actually getting real advice and consulting with a proper mortgage broker or somebody at these institutions.
Yeah.
Go directly to the source. Do you believe everything that you hear? Well, but yeah, can you talk a bit more about the stigma behind it and what is different today versus what everybody's been saying in the past? Because I've come across even realtors that sometimes will say, telling their clients, oh no, don't go to reverse mortgage, these are bad mortgages and blah, 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 which gets really annoying because you're trying to sell against it. And also, with all due respect to realtors, you're not mortgage finance brokers, right?
Yeah.
When you become one, then you can have an opinion about it. Otherwise, stick to selling your homes and buying and whatever you need to do.
You know what? The stigmatism about or the stigma about understanding that, listen, gone are the days of thinking that reverse mortgages are a bad thing, right? They help a lot of people. And like I said before, it's not a product that's for everyone. It's not. It's understanding about the product. And we're Canada. We're governed we're governed by OSFI, who is strict and wants to make sure that we do what's right for the clients. And always, yeah. Clients are first.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, we need to do the right thing for the client. Title always remains with that client, right? Unless something happens. Listen, do you got to maintain and pay your property taxes? Absolutely. Do you have to maintain a good standard of the home itself? Absolutely. It can't be, you can't demolish the home. You can't let it go, you can't let it be garbage, right? You have to maintain that home. Do you have to live in the home? Yes. You can't just leave it empty. Those are, that's what we require. Besides that, we're in the business to help people. We're not in the business to throw people out for certain reasons, right? We're here to work with clients, and that's what we do. Even when they're behind in their property taxes, we remind them that they need to, pay their property taxes. We work with clients. That's the business that we're in.
Now, I know you have mentioned it has to be their primary residence. If you're somebody who is 55 plus and you own multiple properties, and say that you went from living in a detached home, right, and then you had a reverse mortgage on that, and now you're saying, we're going to downsize because we don't want to keep up with all the carrying costs of a detached. We're going to rent that out, and now they're moving into a condo, and they want a reverse mortgage on that. There's equity in there. Is that something you guys will consider now that the occupancy is changing to a different property?
Yes, absolutely. Again, that's the differentiator between us and our competitors. We also do what's called a blanket mortgage. So if client has owner-occupied home, we always need to tag the owner-occupied home. So if client has the owner-occupied home, has a rental, has even a second rental or a vacation property, we'll find out what the client qualifies for: property number 1, property number 2, property number 3. Yes, there is a decrease in the second and third property.
For sure.
We find out what the client qualifies on all 3 properties. We do one charge under all 3 properties, and the client doesn't need to pay for any of the properties.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's great.
And there's no tax.
Yes.
Look at that amazing tip. Look at that amazing tip you just gave to everybody.
Yeah.
This is why
Wow.
Home Equity Bank is such a niche lender
Yeah.
in the reverse mortgage space. I'm not saying that all the other reverse mortgage providers are not.
Everybody's great.
But, you know, everybody, you guys do something that is so well. What you do is reverse mortgages. That's
That's all we
it.
do.
You're not doing anything else. You know what you do best, and you're sticking to it, right?
Yes.
And I think, you know, when you have an executive team and a board of directors that knows exactly what the people want, and that's what you specialize in, like, kudos to the entire company, you know,
Thank
the
you.
executive team for doing that.
Yeah, I'm super proud. Yeah, I'm super proud. And to say, you know what, like, again, like, that's what we do differently. You know, we do blankets, we allow seconds. But provided that there's an exit strategy, it has to make sense, right? We're just not, you know, it has to make sense for the client, number one, and it has to make sense for us as well. But again, it's that education. And I always say, you talked about realtors. You don't know what you don't know, right? Realtors especially. Clients who want to broaden their retirement portfolio, want that vacation home and have that opportunity because it is a buyer's market.
For sure.
Well, you know what? When they tell you, I'd love a vacation home or investment home, just don't know where I'm going to get the down payment from. Well, utilizing the owner-occupied home, right? I don't know how I'm going to make payments. I can't afford to make those payments monthly. Well, maybe a reverse mortgage is something that can help you get there. It's just the education piece. It's understanding that there's options. That's all, right?
That's great. Let's say my client said, yeah, that's great, Suze. I love exactly what you said. They would listen to our podcast and now they're going to call you. We're going to call you tomorrow saying, okay, client's ready to go. How long will the whole process take end to end roughly?
Well, it depends, right? It can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 4 weeks, but it depends on how quickly we can get those documents in, how quickly the client is signing that commitment, how quickly documents are returned back to us, how quickly they can make the appointments with their independent legal advice, their lawyer. All that comes into play. So, right?
Did you hear that? 3-ish, 4-ish weeks. It's the same time as a regular deal, you know? So a regular meeting like at a bank, at a lender. So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. And where your property is located. Because if you're living in Timbuktu,
well, yeah,
good luck trying to find an appraiser in that area, because you're not going to be the only client looking for an appraisal to be completed. There's many different institutions who are probably doing the same thing.
And that problem, I think, lies everywhere too. Not just.
And there's always, that's a great, you just mentioned appraisals, Patrick, that's great. There's always an appraisal. Number one, we need to make sure that the property is up to par, and we need to make sure that we're giving the client the value that's attached to that, right? Because listen, here's the thing. I think my house is worth a certain amount because I take pride in it, right?
Sure.
And then reality kicks in, especially in today's day, and it's not what I feel that it is. So it's just being realistic about the values. And I ask, and I say this to agents all the time and brokers, speak to your clients about that. Have a candid conversation about what they think is the initial value and what the truth is about their initial value in their home.
Yeah, no, I agree. Be more logical about this process versus emotional. Look, we're all emotional buyers. That's just how humans work. But the reality is the reality. We can't change the value in our home just because we invested all this time into it and then the market's taking a downturn. That's not how properties work, right? It's a gamble. And that's why everything is kind of short-term lived almost in some situations when you're buying properties, unless this is going to be your forever home, but it may not be the first and last home you live in. Right. So those are things to keep in mind.
So Suze, a lot of people think that, you know, once you're in a reverse mortgage, you're kind of stuck there. The bank owns your house. There's nothing you can do and you can't undo it. Like, can we talk a little bit more about the stigma around that? Because I obviously know that's not true at all based on our great discussion. So if you want to.
The bank does not own the home, right? The client title belongs to the client always, right? Unless there's situations, right? Clients don't maintain their property taxes. We talked about that, right? You're not stuck. I think that's the misconception. You're not stuck. This is a product that could even be great for someone who's struggling right now. Interest rates were at an all-time low a couple of years ago, and now there's so many people coming up for renewals. And listen, it's a sticker shock of an additional $300, $400, $500 monthly. So I say to clients all the time, if I were to present something to you that would be able to alleviate the stress that you're going to and not force you to sell in this down market, would that be something that would interest you? So I said, 3 years, magic number. Do it for 3 years. Get yourself out of the mess. After 3 years, sell. Go to a regular institution. Hopefully rates are lower after 3 years. At least it gives you the peace of mind of keeping your home.
Okay, so that's also a really good point that you brought up earlier, is like there's multi-draw on your options, yes, on your reverse mortgage. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because that's not something everybody does, and it's really, really beneficial, especially in unique situations.
Yeah, so we mentioned it's kind of like a line of credit, right?
Gotcha.
That's there, but the client is not paying interest on it until they utilize the funds. So if they qualify for a certain amount and they don't utilize all of it up front, then they have options of going back at a later time. It's there. However, it's not guaranteed. Full transparency, especially in the market that is volatile right now, right? So yeah, they can call us at any time, and provided that it's okay still, draw 50,000, 10,000, whatever makes sense for them. We also have income advantage product. Client says, you know what? I know I qualify for this certain amount. However, I'd like a steady income flow every month. So kind of like a paycheck,
They're giving themselves a paycheck.
Like a paycheck, a monthly paycheck.
Yeah.
So we disperse it in what the client decides they'd like, whether it's $1,500 monthly, $2,000, $5,000. We disperse it to them every month for the length of time that they have on the funds that are provided.
Yeah, I love the variety of options that are there. Just to touch base back on the whole multi-drawn aspect. If they draw, say, 20,000 today, another 20,000 later, they're only paying interest on the drawn amount, correct?
Correct.
So that's actually like a key thing, because if you qualified and you got a loan for, I don't know, 500,000, but you're only needing 20,000 of increments at a time, you're not paying interest on that full amount. That's a cost savings there, right?
Yeah.
But I want to touch more about, you're not just a business development manager, right? You're not just Susie at HomeEquity Bank. You are also a mother.
I am.
You are a wife.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit more about kids.
Okay.
Life.
God.
What do you do for fun?
Yeah. What do I do for fun? I feel like all I do is reverse mortgages. Listen, I'm extremely passionate about it.
I'm passionate side.
Yeah, I'm a mom of two wonderful, wonderful boys. I am blessed. My oldest is 27. My youngest is 22. Extremely proud of my boys.
Yes, she looks like she's 21.
Yeah. I started when I was 10.
Wow.
Okay. I've been in this industry for 30 years plus.
Wow.
This is all I know. And extremely passionate. I've been here at HomeEquity Bank for about 4 years and 6 months. Love what I do. Extremely rewarding to be able to help someone save their home, purchase a vacation property, purchase an investment home, whatever the case may be. I've been married for 32 wonderful years.
Wow.
Yes.
What's the secret?
Yeah, I remind him that all the time. He is. High school sweethearts.
What's the secret to being married for over 30 years?
He works a lot, and so do I.
Have hobbies?
Do not take that advice. That is wrong relationship advice. It does not mean you distance yourself.
No, gosh, no, I'm just joking.
Yeah, she's joking.
We're friends.
You're best friends.
We're
right?
friends.
Yeah.
So cool. We have to remind each other every day that we're friends. We don't always have to agree.
Yeah.
But we have to be able to give ourselves opportunities to speak our minds without always taking things so personally.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like he can have his opinion. I don't have to agree with it, but I have to respect it.
That's a respect.
Yeah. And I ask the same. It's two-way street, right? And and one thing that I'm very passionate about is we have to be aligned on how we discipline or speak to our children.
Yeah.
So if I'm giving some type of advice, I need him to, be on board with me. And the same, I need to be on board as well. I may not always want to be because I have a little bit of a strong personality, but
No.
yeah, you won't say. But at the end of the day, we have to work together.
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Before we actually end, if you could describe a reverse mortgage in just 3 words, how would you describe that?
Fulfilling,
Fulfilling, okay,
rewarding,
rewarding,
freedom.
and freedom.
Yeah.
I think those are really good ones. Awesome.
This
Well, thank you for watching this episode and spilling the tea on reverse mortgages with us and how we deal with this in the industry. But if you want to inquire about more about reverse mortgages, feel free to put a comment down below, give us a like, or just simply DM us directly, and we can definitely talk more about it. And you never know, that mortgage might end up with HomeEquity Bank.
Yes.
So thank you, Susie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It
Thank
was such
you.
a pleasure. And of course, always love you. Thank you again.
Thank you.